Cobb Memorial Archive was built by Elisha Wiley Cobb in 1912 in arts and crafts style. It was really a gift to his parents, but he donated to the town of Truro. It was built to be a library, and to be a library in perpetuity.
A fair number of people come here looking about the history of their house. They've bought a house, or they're about to renovate a house, and they want to know about its history and what the appropriate Cape Cod style was, who lived there, what was the historic role of this building. And it's very, very important in having a continuous and valuable history to know, to root yourself, to know what your place is. So let's say you've come in here and you want to find out more about Pond Village, or Pond Village, North Truro. And so what I'm going to do is show you a couple of maps and photographs and postcards that will give you information about this part of the town.
Oh, the best thing I've ever found was the 1830 map of Truro. When I discovered that up at the museum, I realized I was one of a kind. It's John Hale's map of Truro in 1830. It's the oldest original map we have.
It was the town's public library until 1999. So from 1912 to 1999, it was actually the only library in Truro, and many local people remember coming here. People have said to me, I haven't been in here since I was a little kid. You know, it was just the same, except that there were books going this direction, and you know, there was a corner where they did storytelling and all of that kind of thing.
And my grandfather was a custodian here, so a big thing for me was to come with him every Saturday morning and put the flag up. So I was, you know, young, and I wasn't very strong then. So I said, Grandpa, how am I going to mow the front lawn? I'll show you how to mow the lawn. So he says, bring the lawnmower up, and he come out with a rope. And I said, well, what are you going to do with the rope? He tied the rope on the lawnmower, let the lawnmower go down the hill, and he pulled it up. Now that's how you're going to do it.
In 1999, the town of Truro built a much larger library up Route 6, more towards the Provincetown area. And this library was closed down. It was really not used for anything, but because Elisha Wiley Cobb donated it to the town of Truro, it was a building that was owned by the town. We found out about it around 2003, 2004, when the Truro Historical Society was looking for a place to put our maps and our paper archives in a building other than the Highland House, because we had no climate control there. So we petitioned the town of Truro, along with the Historical Commission, to be able to use the Cobb and call it an archive and use it as a library, as it was meant to be, for the Truro Historical Society. And that was the beginning of it being a library for the Historical Museum and for the town. We actually worked with the Historical Commission. The building is now on the National Register, so it's really a historic building that's been now documented to be on the National Register. There needed to be a lot of renovations done in the building. It had been empty for years and it really wasn't in usable shape. So we worked with the town of Truro to get a budget together, and we actually were working with the Historical Commission at first to try and get an architectural firm or a design firm to help us envision how we were going to make it into a usable archive.
So they approached me with a set of plans, and the first thing we did was we removed the shelving in the building, and we got the building you know, ready to do work inside. And this was all done in-house. We had a lot of talent at the time, and everybody took great pride in the work. You know, I felt as though it was an honor to preserve it for the town and make it so people could see it and you know, love it and enjoy it.
when you come into the Cobb, it's really has a wonderful warm feeling. There's a lot of wood, there's a lot of light. So the building was actually built in 1912, but that was just the first part of the building of the Cobb. In 1930, they added a clock tower and cupola and a brass plaque that was provided by Elisha Cobb's daughter, Nellie Cobb McGee. That was in honor of her father. And this was in the family tradition of the Cobbs actually building the building in the first place to honor their parents.
Somebody pointed out that we had inherited a large collection of maps from the John Dyer family. They were donated by John R. Dyer Jr. So upstairs they had a room full of these maps, and somebody had gone through half of them and cataloged them, and I started going through the other ones.
And every other item that we had on paper was photographs or ship's logs, any type of book, manuscript, pamphlet. All of those items were able to come over to the Cobb and be here year-round and be useful for people to come in and have a look at because we have climate control now.
Here we have photographs of numerous shipwrecks that have taken place in the history of the town. We have archives around the other side there of the Coast Guard, the early logs showing records of actual shipwrecks that occurred, and also the people, particularly the Small family, that ran the Highland Light in the 19th century. The deterioration of the fishing industry is not just a Truro issue. In the case of Truro, the terrible gale destroyed half the Truro fishing fleet and a lot of Truro men as well. When Henry David Thoreau came to Truro and featured Truro in his book on Cape Cod, a miserable hovel of a house was pointed out to him, and he said, "Who lives there?" Thoreau was fairly shocked by the level of poverty that he saw out here, and someone said 3 widows. There is an argument that the community did not recover. The population of Truro today, which is the all-year population, which is about 2,000, is only just reaching what the population was in the 1840s.
You know, there's wonderful histories of this, that, and the other thing in Truro. There's at least 3 volumes of Cape Cod histories, which include separate sections on Truro, plus Richard Whalen's book, History of Truro. And the tidbits are all over the place. Sometimes you find stuff that's surprising.
We have logs of some ships that sailed in the 1830s, 1840s, 1850s. They were mainly in the mackerel fishery. And we also have logs of the shops in Truro that would occasionally sell the fish or ship the fish. And then after the railway came in the 1870s, the fish was packed in ice at cold storage and put on a train and taken to Boston. We have in one of these archival boxes here a detailed, granular account of the laying of the railroad from the Wellfleet border up to Provincetown. We also have photographs of the track being laid and some quite charming photographs of ladies and gentlemen at the North Truro or Truro train station. And not only can you find where the railroad track was, you can also find where other tracks were by using old maps, which showed these cartways and occasionally, you know, single single-person tracks that probably were from the time of the native people, the Payamets, who lived here and used them.
And the story goes that William Bradford, Miles Standish, came back to Truro in 1621 or 1622 looking for more corn. And they had Squanto as an interpreter. And the question was asked of the Indians, what do you call yourselves? And they answered, Payomet. We are of this place.
We really encourage people to become members and to volunteer. And actually, if you are a volunteer, then you are a member for free. Donations are needed to keep our services viable. So we ask that people make a donation, or even better than that, we ask that people join the Truro Historical Society.